Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. How is everybody doing today? This is another one of our very many at this point Whetstone Wednesday streams. What is a Whetstone Wednesday, you ask? What even is a Wednesday? Who am I? What even is copy? What are we doing here? We, on Wednesdays, usually about twice a month, like to go over and review reader copy, specifically patreon.com/slash the copy that show supporters. And typically, what happens is we are very ambitious. We set out to try to review everybody's copy that was submitted for that particular week. And then we usually talk about one piece for too long, and then everybody gets sort of short shrifted, and then we run out of time, and that's it. That's the stream for the week. I am going to do my best not to let that happen, but I have said that many, many streams before. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to look at submissions that have been put in since yesterday. And I'm going to try to be fair to everybody. So, like, for example, I see that one person has, the first person who submitted anything submitted 3 pieces of copy to review. I'm going to review one. If you are in the chat, let me know which one you would prefer that I review. But another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be a little meaner today. A little much meaner today than I am on these streams normally. So there's a marketing function to these particular streams. I review the copy, everybody learns, but also people are like, huh, those are really insightful comments. I would like my copy to be reviewed. And then they become Patreon subscribers and everybody's happy. And, I get money so that I can build a large Lambo that can actually house another Lambo inside of it, or maybe a Ferrari. And so you get that Lamboception kind of thing going on. It's really cool looking. But for today, for the sake of time, am going to tell you the point when I stop reading. And the point when I stop reading is going to be typically uh, much farther along in the copy than your normal average reader is going to give you. And that's just an unfortunate fact about the business that we are in, which is very simply that readers, people that are like, looking for products and hunting for things, they're not going to give your copy the time of day. And so you have to be able to be engaging and not be boring and, be super enthusiastic and thrilling and benefit driven from the very beginning and sustain that throughout a piece of copy. Your readers for your copy are not going to be charitable. So, hello everyone. Oh, if copy that has no fans, if copy that has no fans, I lose my hobby business, and then I won't be able to have Lamboception. I'll just have like the regular Lambos. I won't be able to like dock a Lambo inside of a Lambo. So, my life would be significantly worse if copy that had no fans. The traduction, please. I don't know what's going on. Basically, I'm going to call everybody a cow and then spit in their face and tell them to get off my line. That is what is going to happen today. Before I get started, does anybody have anything that they'd like to talk about or anything that they'd like to ask? Anything that I can do to help you, person watching, become a better copywriter or better paid copywriter? These are the kinds of questions that I want people to ask. What even is the point of a normal Lambo? There isn't one. It is stupid. I've driven Lamborghinis. It's kind of uncomfortable and like sort of impractical. You feel every single bump in the road. And so like imagine if you have to go over train tracks, you ruin the undercarriage of that car. Like it's just done. So pointless. But I mean, it go fast and sounds loud. That's it. And could not find the how to build a funnel. I don't know what you mean. Yes, Lego Lambos all day. The point of a Lambo is thank you. Ty Lopez cried a little bit just now, and he does not know why. Okay. Is it true the average freelance copywriter makes only $40,000 a year? Just curious, I got that stat from a salary website. Yeah, if they get work, but, like, keep in mind that there are vastly more wannabes who don't get work than who do get work, or vastly more people who get, like, one job and then realize this is really hard and then quit. So, before in previous videos, we've often said that the average salary for a copywriter is closer to $0 than $10,000 a month, and that's the reason why. Averages just work out that way. Um, but if you are able to actually get full-time sustained work as a freelance copywriter, yeah, that's typically what you can expect, around $3,000 to $5,000 a month, which averages out to about $40,000 per year American. So that's typically what you see. On how to do avatar research, I mean, you can just watch the movie, right? I wouldn't recommend watching Wake of like the water one. Like I tried to watch like the first 30 minutes of it and it was just so boring. In all honesty, no, we don't have a video on avatar research. We've done videos on research before, and Alex has even done like a 15 to 20-hour series on Patreon that's just all about like how to research a market, how to research a product, how to research a niche, like his whole like comprehensive process. To the extent that I could never do something better than that, because I just don't have the time. So there's going to be stuff in there. We might do a video just dedicated to research and release that for free, giving as many tips as possible. But if you want a free tip on avatar research, here's one. Go talk to the avatar. I'm serious. Like, find out the types of people that are using the product that you want to research, and then go talk to those people. Um, I've spoken to so many copywriters. I've over 1,000 copywriters working professionally at this point in my career. And guess what? The good ones, the ones that make a lot of money, they go talk to people, they interview people, they actively engage with people and find out what makes them tick emotionally right here. So that's my advice. Is there a how to build funnel masterclass in the Patreon? No, there is not. There is a funnel hacking masterclass in our ultimate guide to marketing strategy. And um, that whole course has just everything that you would need to know, like theoretically wise, if you want to learn how to set up funnels and do marketing for a business from soup to nuts. So that's what that product is for. But it's very advanced, and most beginner copywriters, like, you're not going to get those kinds of jobs. Always. It always depends. I am never not going to say this because it is important for everybody to approach life with nuance. Thank you. Yes. Yes, the average person has fewer than 2 legs. Absolutely true. I will be honest. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and there's, like, a list of, like, media meant for kids and, like, young teens that, like, I'm just a little too old. Like, I missed the Avatar boat. Like, I was just a little too old for it. I was also too old for Harry Potter. So, like, I missed all of that. And I'm too late in life to justify, like, I'm gonna sit down and watch an anime for the next 20 hours. It's just not going to happen. But I'd do it if I got to do it with my kids. And so I am looking forward to my kids growing up so that I get to watch all these things that I missed with them. So, oh my God, how to practice copy, how much to write, and what to write. We have a whole video about practicing copy where we gave 4 specific exercises about practicing copy. But if you want just a simple tip on how to practice copy, go into your email inbox, look at one of the emails that a company has sent you, read it, analyze it, go to the landing page, study the product, learn what it does, learn whom it is for, and then write an email that would ideally go to a list of subscribers which you are currently on. That's it. It's that easy. Now, how much to write? I will tell you exactly how much to write. Keep it long enough to cover the subject, but keep it short enough to keep it interesting, like a kilt. So, what is up, my dude? Yeah, never read it. Never read it. I was just too old. What is a catalyst? So it is something that you add to a chemical reaction to speed up the chemical reaction. If you're talking about a catalyst in terms of copy, I imagine that that is a term that's a term that somebody came up with to basically like mention in a mechanism section. So okay, there's some basic stuff that I need to cover before we get to the catalyst part. In long form direct response copy, where you're talking about or explaining how something works, that's typically called a mechanism section. It rarely ever comes first in a piece of copy, and the copy where that does come first, it usually does very poorly. So somewhere 20 to 30 pages into the copy that you've written, say it's like a diet pill that reduces your stress, which reduces your cortisol, and that leads to, weight loss, which is a real mechanism. The catalyst would be whatever accelerates or starts that mechanism, at least from my understanding, outside of the particular context you're getting that from. How many piece of copy do you receive every week to critique? I just subscribed to Copy That Patreon, so I was just wondering. Thanks. Well, today I received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pieces of copy. I'm not going to get to all of them today. It is going to be first come, first serve, but I'm going to try to speed through stuff where if something is just obviously not working, I'm going to tell you that it's obviously not working and then move on. Could you please leave a link to the funnel building course after the video? It's in the description. I retired from entertainment. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. If there are no more questions, then let's actually get to looking at some copy. So, Tree Nguyen, I don't know if you're in the chat, but I see your Rods Analyzing Copy Masterclass. Ooh, my Storytelling Masterclass. Let's actually look at that. Okay. So present, share screen, window, and we want the spark that sells. Okay. Let's make this a little bit bigger so that people can actually see. And I don't know if you can read this up here, but I am in the process of going through our outreach product, our outreach course, and I'm just completely reorganizing it. I've added like a half dozen like master classes and videos to it, including stuff that's like free on YouTube, but also stuff within the Patreon, and also stuff that's never been published before. We are going to be doing a very big end of year push for that because we have a new evergreen promo that's almost done for it. And so we're going to put that out there in the world and basically announce like, hey, this is basically our version 2.0 of our outreach product. So, okay. Can everybody read this? Yes, no? Why in the chat if you can? It is the CCA. Yes. So I'm currently in the process of completely reorganizing that course and making it more, how should I say, intuitive. I've also sort of like borrowed a concept that I learned from buying an Athlete X product, where what he does is he'll have a mix of like paid videos and like videos published on YouTube that actually explain the concepts that he's trying to teach in the course or in the program. And so I was like, why don't like there's no rule that says you can't like double publish like free stuff in a paid product if it helps people progress through the product. So that's what I've been doing. A bunch of Ys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Okay. So thank you for reviewing and giving me feedback. This is what I came up with based on the feedback you guys provided. Thank you for spending time with us and doing this event for us. Okay. Yeah, if you go to the CCA right now on Kajabi, like you'll see the progress that I've been making. So, it's all live. So, context. Traffic most likely comes from YouTube channels, not Patreon subscribers. Okay. So, just for context for this so that you understand what is going on right now, we have a page copythatshow.com. And we sell digital products, many of which are in the Patreon, but we sell them individually so that people can access them if they can't access the Patreon. Now, in this particular page, basically, we have an ongoing offer where if people write product descriptions for these particular pages, we will publish them and pay you $150. And I think it last week or the week before that we actually paid 2 people $150. It is 3:18 p.m. Eastern Time. So we need copy for this page. And so what this is proposed copy for this particular page. And if we accept it, we'll pay $150. Okay. Someone who's get better at copy and doesn't yet know that storytelling is good to learn, or heard that storytelling is essential to people, but yet believe the claim. Not a beginner's copywriter, because this course was not designed for them. So the idea is that storytelling is the best skill to learn if you want to improve your copywriting skills. We have a video coming out tomorrow, which is an interview with the senior copywriter Glenn Fisher. He's one of the 2 guys who runs the copywriting channel The Fix, and he got his first job as a copywriter by submitting a short story as his portfolio piece. He didn't talk about benefits or features and stuff like that. He legitimately just wrote a story, and that got him a job and got him started in his copywriting career. So that is coming out tomorrow, probably in the past if you're watching the replay of this. So click on the button directing them to the purchasing page. Okay. So this is the copy that's above the fold. Can we actually... All right. Yeah, this is true. Daniel Throssell, when Ramit Sethi of iwillteachyoutoberich.com, he had a copywriting contest, and Daniel Throssell won that contest by submitting a story about his wife getting mad at him for spending a lot of money on a copywriting book. So it's one of those things where a lot of junior copywriters don't realize that when we talk about copy, especially long form copy, that what you should be doing is not necessarily selling the product. You're selling the idea. And there's no better way to sell an idea than with a story, especially if you're talking to more indirect audiences or more unaware audiences, rather. And the reason for that is because people have a natural aversion to being sold something unless they already believe in the brand, have faith in the brand, like the brand, et cetera, et cetera. And so the reason why you want to sell with story or be able to sell with story is because it allows you to get past that filter that people have. People, even if they know it's an ad, will still read a story. So big idea copy. We have a whole video about that. We have a masterclass about that. It's a very commonly misunderstood concept. And listen, if I was at an event with 20 of the best copywriters on the planet, still have no idea why they invited me. And one of the things that I mentioned that I got from my mentor, Mark Ford, was that if you ask 10 copywriters what the big idea is in copywriting, you're going to get 12 answers. Nobody fucking knows what a big idea is in copywriting. And so it's one of those things where it's like who cares what it actually means, as long as it helps you or benefits you in some way, or it helps gives you an aha moment about copywriting. But for the most part, it's just a big emotionally compelling argument about the world that has some sort of societal impact. That's it. The idea, a basic and ordinary idea, is the sales argument that you're trying to make. Okay. So the spark that sells, an advanced masterclass in using storytelling and copy. Jesus, this is garbage. Imagine hearing those words from the copywriter I admired most. What went down that day is buried into my brain, a memory so vivid it would persist even if I were born again. Goddamn. Because that day marks the time when I wrote the worst piece of copy in my life, and embarrassingly, I'm the only one who thinks it was the best. My self-confidence crumbled like a sandcastle swept away by the tide. A little bit of overwriting here. 3 painstaking months, a parade of sleepless nights, and 56 pages of dedication were obliterated in the mere span of a 5-minute rant. So here's the thing. All right. First off, this is above the fold copy. As in, so like if we go to Amazon and we type in, I don't know, give me a product. Butt scratcher. Okay. We got a pack of butt scratchers. Look at this. This is above the fold copy right here for these butt scratchers. It's usually bulleted. It usually tells you like what's in it. It usually tells you why you would want to buy it. It's pretty succinct. It's pretty straightforward. So like here, sporks. Here we go. 1,000 plastic disposable sporks. And what do we see? The same thing. That's what we want here. And then the copy we want here under a headline. And so here, this is just too much copy for something that's supposed to serve this purpose. Does that make sense? So if you're doing above the fold copy for a product page, not a sales page, a product page, you want it to be succinct. You want it to be very bullet driven. You want it to be very benefit driven. And if you look at past reviews and other copy that we've published and paid for, that's what flies here. We want the copy above the fold to be a good teaser for it. And also it's a $39 product. So that's problem number one. Fatal flaw number one. Now, fatal flaw number two is you are doing a good thing here, which is you're opening with story. If you're trying to sell a storytelling masterclass, makes sense that you'd want to use story to do so. Now, here's the problem. So far, this story, it's a lot of description. It's a lot of words. It's not really moving. You understand what I mean? So, like, a story, especially for copy, needs to be very plot driven. And you absolutely cannot overwrite. And what do I mean by overwriting? So my confidence crumbled like a sandcastle swept away by the tide. 3 painstaking months, a parade of okay, we have metaphor, 56 pages of dedication. Guys, in copywriting, I want everybody to learn this lesson. We do not say the policeman sauntered to the automobile. We say the cop walked to the car. That's one of the best pieces of copywriting advice that I can possibly give you. All of you can just click out of the stream right now because you've just learned probably the most valuable lesson that I'm going to teach you today. The cop walked to the car is better copy than the policeman sauntered to the automobile. That is what I mean by avoiding overwriting. So, a once promised document is now nothing more than a worthless. Okay. I'm going to nip this in the bud and say that this needs revision. It needs simplification. Yes, you made it. It's all over. You can leave now. It's done. There's no other value that I'm going to offer for the next 2 hours. Nothing else. All right. So work on your overwriting, work on your above the fold copy, and really, really focus on, how should I say, use the story here. Use the story here. And this headline, storytelling, the missing link in your copywriting mastery journey, it's a weak headline. Look at something specific. Look at something useful. Look at something urgent and unique. This is not unique. Unique is what sells. Useful is what sells. This doesn't pass the smell test. So, revise. Okay, let's look at the next piece of copy. A 10-year-old should understand your copy. Eh, it depends. If you're selling sex toys, probably not. And I say that as somebody who has actually written copy for sex toys. Oh, God bless you. And by the way, I'm very grateful for your content, especially for your 5-hour course. You're really helping me. Thank you so much for all the content. You are very welcome. Alex is the one who did the course. I'm just some schmo who shows up on the channel every now and again. I don't actually provide any value. So, all right, let's zoom in a little bit. So this is the Make It Rain, a masterclass in generating unique copy angles. Okay. So same deal. This is part of the package of like, hey, if you write copy for one of our product pages that doesn't have copy and you're a Patreon member, yada, 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 we'll pay you $150, et cetera, et cetera. So we're doing another one of these. Oh, when are the copy that butt scratchers mercy coming? Butt scratchers mercy. Interesting. Merch. He meant merch. Well, we have products, coffee mugs, and T-shirts and stuff like that. We need new logos and new branding. I will ask my wife to get on that. So, Make It Rain, masterclass in generating unique copy angles. Do you ever feel like every piece of copyright sounds the exact same? Perhaps when you're writing for a project, you notice you can't seem to break out of the same vague concepts. Every angle you come up with lacks uniqueness, and you feel trapped in a never-ending loop. A lot of us have been in that same boat. If you've been struggling with originality and are looking for a spark of uniqueness in your copy, really wishing to become an unarguably better... Okay, I'm going to stop this right here. There is, in copywriting, and also followers of your strunken white elements of style cultists. I don't like them, but they make a point about adverbs. What are adverbs? Adverbs are words that modify adjectives. They're words that modify sentences and phrases. Like I almost got a degree in linguistics. So when I was getting my first master's degree, I almost got a second bachelor's degree in linguistics. I was like 2 courses away from being finished with the bachelor's coursework for that. One of the interesting things morphologically about adverbs is the fact that there is no sort of empirical definition of what the fuck an adverb even is. And so, like, for example, the adverb very serves a very different semantic and syntactic function than a word like unarguably or whereas, things of that nature. Now, that's neither here nor there. The point is that adding adverbs to your sentences often makes them, for lack of a better term, gummy, hard to parse, hard to read and understand. And so when you use an adverb, make sure that it's serving a function and doesn't, how should I say, overcomplicate matters very much. Again, we're talking about copy that should sound like the cop walked to the car, not the policeman sauntered to the automobile. I'll get my daughter on it. Absolutely. This comment is referring to my other channel, which is a personal finance YouTube channel. That's actually what I do. Like, I write copy for the financial niche. I'm an editor, an analyst, and a financial marketer and copywriter. And I started my own YouTube channel where I talk about stuff that interests me. And one of the things that I did was talk about the fact that, they found historically that very often you can beat the market and beat Wall Street analysts by just randomly selecting stocks from the market and then buying an equal number of them and just holding on to it for 20 years. So I did that, and I have a whole video about that on my other channel. So I was watching a video where a writer suggested after finishing the story, do a control F for ly and curb overuse of adverbs. Would the same be applicable for copy storytelling? For any copy, yeah. So one of the things that I do when I finish a piece of copy is I have like a sort of mental list or catalog of words that I tend to overuse, mostly out of laziness. For example, just. I am my copy is lousy with the word just. And so what I'll often do is I will control F and then I will look for all the justs and I will delete it so that there's like one per page, one every other page, things like that. Um, another one that I'm really guilty of right now or here. Like I do that a lot in my copy. And so when I'm editing and revising, I will often search for these common phrases or things that could be detractive and delete them. I don't hate adverbs. I just feel better when they're not around. All right. Um yeah. So here's the thing. God, you guys are going to hate this. And like I've been watching the view count and like whenever I get into a nerdy topic I just see the view count go woo. So here's the thing. Passive voice. Passive voice grammatically is totally fucking fine. Passive voice is okay. And what is passive voice? Passive voice is just any sentence where the object of a sentence has been swippy swapped with the subject of a sentence. And you do that because if you do it right, you can leave off the subject of a sentence. So firefighters put out the fire versus the fire was put out by firefighters. Notice how all passive voice is doing there is swapping the two. Now, that function grammatically can be very useful. For example, if your previous sentence was firefighters rushed to the scene, firefighters put the fire out with water. You don't freaking need to start every single sentence with the word firefighters. So you do a swap and say they immediately put out that they were able to put out the fire or the fire was put out as a result. There you go. That's passive voice. So you can recognize passive voice if you are a nerd like me by looking for any instance of the verb to be plus a verb that has been shifted to the past participle. So for example, Sean pooped in the toilet becomes the toilet was, that's the to be, pooped past participle in by Sean. And you can lop off the by Sean if you feel that there's a sort of stylistic or like grammatical need for that. So, passive voice, totally fine. If you want to avoid passive voice in all cases, you can just follow one of the best pieces of writing advice that I give on this channel, which is if you want your copy to be strong, if you want every single sentence in your copy to be strong, look for when you use any instance of the verb to be. Is, was, am, are, were, wasn't, weren't, etc., etc. Isn't, be, being, becoming, yada yada. Find them all. Every single sentence. Go one sentence by another. And every time you encounter the verb to be, think, how can I rewrite the sentence so that it has a better verb? If you do that, your copy is going to be, for lack of a better term, motherfucking popping. Your copy is going to be great. You just have to look for those verbs that are not really doing a whole lot of heavy lifting and then swap them out and rewrite the sentence so that your verbs actually are doing some heavy lifting. And if you do that, you on a sentence level, your copy is going to be at least 30 times stronger. So, and also, it is literally impossible to write in the passive voice if you do that. Like, actually grammatically impossible to do that. So, that is not as good of a piece of value as I gave earlier, but that is another lesson for you. Now, this is actually true. There's actually a whole school of writing called, I think it's called E prime. Like, there's a Wikipedia page about this. E prime, if you look this up. It basically is saying that like the verb to be serves no function other than serving as a sentential equal sign between subject and object. And so like you should just cut it from your writing and find a better way to say stuff. Ready 101 writing tips by Gary Provost. He mentions all these writing tips well for writing. Okay, cool. There you go. So getting back to this piece of copy, This this is fine. It's I mean, it's a masterclass about unique copy angles, but like this angle, like getting into it, it's not particularly special. So I would much rather this section be up here be bullet driven and then use this angle down here. This is great. How on earth do you do it? How to craft that's vague. How to craft unique copy that leaves your clients dazzled. That's better. That's benefit driven. I would add something like, how to craft unique copy that leaves your clients dazzled, without, corny templates or, some other commonly seen thing there. You want benefit without common concept or pain point. Something that makes it more unique. Do the angles change for every section? So, all right. Quick lesson on copy angles and what a copy angle is. So, a copy angle really is just think about like how should I say? A space shuttle orbiting the Earth and beginning its descent and reapproaching and actually entering the Earth's atmosphere. The angle of approach has to be basically how you get into the atmosphere without one crashing and burning or two skipping off and ending up in space. So your angle has to be perfect and it's all contextual and it depends yada yada yada, it depends on your audience. So your angle is how you choose to enter into a particular subject. You can read that as yes, every section has its own quote unquote angle of approach. Typically, when somebody says the copy's angle, they mean just the beginning of a piece of copy. And usually, what that means is the appeals that you are using. So, for example, are you going to appeal to greed? Are you going to appeal to um, a reader's insecurities? Are you going to appeal to a person's fears, etc.? The problems that they have, yada yada yada. So the angle that you choose is going to be from this like general sense of what you understand about the prospect, and then you are going to talk about that as a way of getting the attention of the prospect. Again, re-entering the atmosphere and making sure that you don't crash and burn or skip off into space. So do I feel like I'm teaching at college again? No, I don't, because I actually enjoy doing this. Hey. Yeah, so it's one of those things where, like big ideas, a lot of copywriters will just use these things interchangeably. The idea of a piece of copy is your sales argument. You should buy this butt scratcher because it is the best butt scratcher. That's a sales argument. It's not a good one, but it is one. An angle is, again, how you approach the entry into a particular topic. A hook is very similar concept, what you use to lure a reader in. So, for example, the a common hook that you will see is, you know, how to get a free Bitcoin. See page 38 of this brand new book by person. That's a hook. So you have this book, that's what you're selling. And what you're using to get people's attention is a particular detail, a bullet from the book about how to get something that the customer desires. That's your angle, that's your hook. It's more or less interchangeable. Yeah, so Kyle calls it the golden thread because this concept actually comes from Don Mahoney and Mark Ford. The golden thread is something that they talk about a lot in AWAI. And basically, if we're following the rule of one and you are approaching a piece of copy and you're appealing to somebody's greed, you should always, at every point in a piece of copy, in every single section, yoke it back to that original angle. For example, if you are appealing to somebody's greed, you don't want to have a whole section that's like now all of a sudden about a person's interest in geopolitics. That sucks. You have to find a way to bring it back to that golden thread and have it woven throughout. And yeah, this is also called the rule of one. So, can a unique mechanism be a MacGuffin? MacGuffins are commonly used in storytelling. Basically, like it's just a physical object that people are after. The most commonly used example in storytelling teaching or pedagogy is the Maltese Falcon. Everybody's after the Maltese Falcon. So the plot revolves around getting the Maltese Falcon, keep the Maltese Falcon away from other people who want it, yada yada yada. If you watch the most recent Indiana Jones film, the 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 Antikythera mechanism is the MacGuffin. There you go. Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was the Ark. That's the MacGuffin. Now, can the be a MacGuffin? I don't think so. I'm sure if you find an example where it's just obviously that's the case, sure, but I've never seen it. So yeah, no problem. Like again, all this stuff, it's one of those things where it's like terminology that was invented to be useful, but ultimately you have to keep in mind that all of it was invented. Like people did it to try to communicate an idea that is always going to be porous, is always going to be nebulous. Like all these concepts and terms exist to serve utility. And if you find a concept confusing and not being very useful to you, just don't worry about it so much. So there you go. Okay, whether you're looking for your copy to stand out, comma break, or simply because you want to actually be a better copywriter, if you want to write unique copy, it all starts by generating a good idea. Once you learn how to, this is boring. Bring this down to the main body copy. Have this be bullet driven, like what I was discussing earlier. But this, it's not really working for me. It needs punch. It's boring. So that is my feedback there. Okay. Soft sell email. All right. So we have our first non-product page piece of copy that we're going to look at. Soft sell email, bronzer makeup product for Instant Logo. Okay. Reason I'm emailing them. The problem I'm solving is helping the reader by providing expert. Here, let me zoom in. About how to choose the right makeup product bronzer and helps them to make their skin glow instantly. So they are struggling with less information about how to identify the right bronzer shade for their skin tone. CTA, click to check out the skin bronzers collection. Wow, some subject line options. How to identify which bronzer shade is right for you? That's not really a question. How to choose bronzer shade for your skin type? How to buy the right bronzer for your skin type? So, listen, I'm as much as I talk about grammar, I'm actually not a grammar stickler. I think most rules for grammar were made to be broken for rhetorical effect. But right now you have questions that are not really questions. Yes. I love the theatrics with these questions. So in English, English is not what is called an inflected language, but it does use inflections to communicate meaning sometimes. The upward inflection at the end of a sentence usually indicates either one, that you were born in the San Fernando Valley in California, or that you were asking a question. And that's typically the more common one. I happen to be both of those things. I was born in the San Fernando Valley in California. So like I talk with an upward inflection like this all the time. Yeah, it's very annoying. Should you buy light, medium, dark bronzer? Find out now. Yeah, that's not really working for me. 7 tips for identifying how should select bronzer shade for your skin type. All right. None of these are working for me so far. Number 1 tip for choosing bronzer shade for your skin. Here's the thing. All of these they have a combo feel of like being too close to the subject, to, like what you're trying to sell. They also have like a little, like almost like AI would produce these, because AI doesn't understand lateral thinking. And so I want to tell you a story that I've told in many master classes before, but I'm going to tell you now so that everybody can benefit. One of the best subject lines that got the most opens and led to some of the most click-through rates, it was for a sales letter that had an email linking to the sales letter. And the sales letter was selling basically the concept that commodities like pork, goats, oil, etc. We're about to enter a super cycle. So that the whole unique mechanism was the super cycle is happening. The idea was, hey, buy these commodities now, make a bunch of money, and also we'll show you what commodities to buy if you buy this newsletter. Yada yada. Typical sales letter stuff. So to get here's the thing though, those kinds of sales letters are boring. They're very boring. So you have to get people's attention and shock them into retaining interest throughout, from the email to the end of the sales letter. So the email was, your standard lift, which is not a sales email. It doesn't reveal the idea. It simply teases the thing that you're going to find out on the sales page, or the sales letter rather. And so what do you think the subject line for this commodity super cycle email was? Write down it, like, based on what I just described, write down the best subject line that you can come up with for an email for a sales letter about a commodity super cycle. This is not about a commodity super cycle, but the bronzer shade is hurting your skin. Something on that order. If we go by the logic of this, a subject line along this logic is how to invest in the next commodity super cycle. Ignore the people in the chat who actually have heard this story before. 7 tips for getting ahead of the next commodity super cycle. The number 1 tip for investing in commodities. Like, those are all your sort of like your basic, your hackneyed, your mediocre subject lines. Anybody else want to give a sort of generic subject line a shot for this particular promo idea? It's fine. It's not. I'll just tell you the answer. The best subject line for that promotion was just this. All lowercase, buy goats. Buy goats. Buy goats. That's it. People saw that in the subject line in their inbox. They saw whom it was from. And they were like, buy goats? What the fuck? And then they clicked it. And then they were like, oh. And then they clicked the lift because they were more intrigued. And then they went to the sales letter and then they bought it. And it did really well. Buy goats. So here's the thing. Buy goats. Why buy goats? Buy goats. So it's obviously an email coming from an investment research service to their free list. Goats are a commodity. And here's the thing. What is meant by goat? Actual goats. Like, goats. Buy goats. BUY space goats. All lowercase. That was the best subject line. So here, now you're starting to think your skin sucks. A little too aggro, but now you're thinking in the right direction. So here's the thing. We went from this sales letter about a commodity super cycle to a lift that's teasing that sales letter to a subject line that's teasing the lift. So you have to think what is called laterally. You have to think like, okay, what are we talking about and what can I do to get attention for this idea without over revealing the idea? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these subject lines kind of sucking. It's all about best bronzer. Of course, you need to test 1 or 2 or 3 of these, but the secret to good subject lines is to think laterally. You need to think like, oh, buy your glowing skin. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking. Your skin looks like a goat's ass. Kyle, you failed this assignment. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's not really open loops. It's fascination. It's intrigue. An open loop is, I'm going to tell you more about this in just a moment, but first, let me talk about this. So the open loop is you literally are going to come back to a subject later on. Buy goats is just by itself specific, intriguing, interesting, especially in the context of an investment newsletter. So, buy goats. I like your skim. Don't use that as a subject line. uh, you know I was kidding, but also get the fuck out of here. All right, longtime viewers know what's up. So anyway, that's my feedback for these subject lines. They're all to what's called in the English expression on the nose. They're all very direct. They're all undoubtedly about bronzer shades. Now, you as a copywriter, your job is not to write words about bronzer shades. Your job is to think about ideas that help increase a business's results. And so for this, you want to be thinking about, well, what are different ways that this brand can stand out in a person's inbox? Okay. So there you go. Do you know this ancient skin secret? I mean, if listen, if the actual product was about using, like old school techniques or like really old methodologies for it, that would make sense. You can't just say stuff. For example, when I was talking about this commodity super cycle idea, goats are a commodity. So there's again, we're going to bring it up, the golden thread that weaves from the subject line to the sales letter. You need to not just say random shit to get attention, you know? You need to actually, yes, without sounding spammy. Thank you. Yes. How to feed your skin. Interesting, different, unique. I don't know if it would work, but that's the kind of thinking that I want to see. All right. So that was the most I think I've ever publicly talked about subject lines. All right. Maybe a little too aggro. Don't look like a clown. Pick the right bronzer shade. Bronzer getting you down because you look like a clown. So bad. Yeah. So, what is a stinger? A stinger is typically the first line of either an email or a piece of copy. And oftentimes, what Kyle will do is he will start a thought in the subject line and then continue it in the first line of an email. That's not something you should do necessarily. It is, again, one technique. I actually prefer the Jake Hoffberg method, which is have a subject line that you get to like sometime later, and then have a different stinger, your first sentence, the disruption in your disrupt intrigue click email. And then what I like to have is a PS that's like, oh yeah, I mentioned in the subject line this thing. You can get this thing by clicking here, et cetera, et cetera. Like the PS is what fulfills the subject line. So effectively what you're doing, I just like this method of like creating an open loop from subject line to PS. And all the stuff in between is designed to cultivate increased intrigue. So, all right. Subject line, how to find the right bronzer shade for your skin tone. Again, like this is fine. You should test it, but you want to start thinking laterally, especially if you want to stand out as a copywriter in this business. Hi, Sarah. If you love having sun-kissed skin but are not sure which bronzer is right for you, you're in luck. This email is just for you. So this is an example of like repetition where you would want to like go through your sentence and be like, okay, am I repeating stuff in a way that doesn't help the copy? Repetition is good. I'm pro repetition. Repetition, after all, legitimizes. Thank you, Adam Neely. But here it sort of draws attention to itself, and you don't want your words to draw attention to themselves. If you go back earlier in the stream, when I was talking about overwriting, writing that draws attention to itself, people are suspicious of it. People once people like notice, like, oh, I'm reading words that are doing these things, they're not thinking about the concepts you're trying to communicate. So keep that in mind. I don't know if this is targeted to men. So I don't know if this subject line would work so great. Yeah, don't remind your reader that they're reading. That's very, very good advice. Thank you for succinctly putting it in copy terms. Have you ever wondered why your skin tone matters when picking a bronzer? No? Well, let me explain. Great. Bronzers are like magic. So, okay, I'm going to put myself in the mind of Sarah. Sarah is a 31-year-old woman. She wants bronzers. She knows she wants bronzers. She wakes up in the morning and it's like, God damn, do I want a bronzer today? That's the mindset that I'm currently in. Okay. Now, if you love having sun-kissed skin but are not sure which bronzer is right for you, you're in luck. This email is for you. That sentence is not working for me. Have you ever wondered why your skin tone matters when picking a bronzer? I don't think that's a question that I, Sarah, a 30-year-old woman who really wants bronzers to look good on me, I don't know if I would ever ask that question. I would maybe make it more negative, perhaps. Have you ever wondered why most off the shelf bronzers don't look good on your skin? Stuff like that. Because there you're actually like insinuating that there's a problem. There you're actually insinuating that, wait, what? You're actually like eliciting and evoking perhaps a concern that a person either had or did not know that they had. So, yeah, that's this is what I'm alluding to. Problem aware versus solution aware. So, like a problem aware person would know, hey, I use bronzers, but they don't look good on my skin. Now, here's the thing. Some people might not know that. They might be more unaware. Other people might be more aware. They'd be solution aware. That is, they know that solutions for these different bronzers exist, but they haven't pulled the trigger and actually bought, and they might not be aware of your company's solution. That would be a solution aware. So, yeah, this is the advice. Start in the mind, not on the product. Well, let me explain. Bronzers are like magic. They make your skin look naturally tanned and glowing. So we've gone from why your skin tone matters when picking a bronzer. We know that we are finding like we're getting attention by picking the right bronzer shade, but in the explanation, we're explaining how bronzers work. Something does not compute. So why does your skin tone matter? If your skin changes color in the sun or always stays the same, the key to the perfect bronzer lies in your undertone and how I lost my breath while reading that. And how your skin tans naturally. Here's how to find your perfect shade. Guys, guys, this email is not working. And I don't think that there's really much of a point in me reading on. And I think this is an angular problem. This is a problem with the angle that this is particularly taking. And so I want you to come with me on a journey through time and space. I want you to imagine that you are a 30-year-old woman named Sarah, and you have like sort of olive colored skin. Like your mom always says, "Oh, you look jaundiced today," but you don't have jaundice. You just have olive colored skin. And a lot of off the shelf bronzers don't look right on you. Your skin tone's just a little wonky, is what I'm trying to say. And so you get this email, and forget the subject line for a second, and it opens with just two images. And one of the images is a bronzer that's on skin where it clearly doesn't look right. It's too dark, or it's the colors just don't match. And that's juxtaposed against another picture of bronzer that meshes perfectly. And the email is all about, hey, when you go out into the world, do you want your skin to look like picture A, or do you want your skin to look like picture B? That for me, would be stronger than what this is, which is it's trying to do too many things. It's trying to educate, which is often a death knell in copy. And like it's being a little too generic in its approach, a little too, you know, mealy mouthed. And so, what I want you to think about when you're revising this and when you're adjusting this is think about the perspective from Sarah. Like, is this going to be interesting to her? Does this line up with her experience? You know, would Sarah like be interested in a bronzer that matches her skin tone? Okay. If yes, then you know what to do in that email. If you are talking to a more unaware audience, then you need to actually do a little bit more legwork in explaining like what a bronzer is for. And there, the juxtaposition in those images would be what looks better. And then you can talk about more about like why bronzer is actually effective. Now, here's the thing. Most women who are signed up to an email list to get bronzer don't need to be sold on bronzer. They want bronzer. They just want one that's right for them. And so in that email that, geared towards a more aware person, you'd want to talk a little bit more about like how to actually find and select a bronzer and how this company actually makes some solution to that problem of like bronzers that don't match your skin color. So, yeah, God diggly dang, I need this bronzer. And there you go. So, thank you guys for joining me on that time and space. I mean, all of you are named Sarah now. I don't know if you realize this, but I've heard how to write emails, but how do I keep on writing emails? How do I get an idea, different angles to approach the same few problems, etc.? There are a lot of different ways. Try different angles of approach. Focus on different like segments of your list that might want different things. One of the easiest ways to come up with ideas is to talk about timely stuff. But here's the thing: for bronzers, it's an ecom email. Oftentimes, you don't need an angle. You just need a really good like new image of the product and some deal that pushes people over the edge. Because again, with ecom email lists, people are on that email list because they are either interested and have not bought, or because they have bought and are interested in more. So there's not a whole lot of friction there. Like if this were an email going to an affiliate list, and the affiliate list was like I don't know, about buying shotguns or shotgun accessories. Like, yeah, you're going to need more context. You're going to need to do a little bit more selling and more like finesse to sell bronzer to the shotgun people. But that's not the way most marketing works, dude. So, anyway, yes. So, Sarah, yes, absolutely. So, now that you are Sarah, I totally understand. Yeah, Sarah, you make an extremely good point. Thank you, Sarah. Yep, Sarah, well done. Absolutely. Such a geek. Anyway, so let's move on from that. Let's just, obvious problems with there. Definitely revise that. So we have this. Make it rain. Okay. Oh, and I'm going to check off the copy that I've actually reviewed so that we have a record that I've actually reviewed it. Okay. Hex writes, this is another product page. And we've already reviewed basically the same product page before, but from a different writer. So let's see how this person approached this angle. So here's the question. Should we not write long text emails for ecom products? You absolutely can. But here's the thing that was wrong with your email. It was going all over the place. It wasn't focused. It wasn't geared towards a coherent idea of what a person wants from a bronzer or like what would sell well to them. So like it was just scattered. There was no golden thread. And it seemed like it was trying to appeal to people at very different stages of awareness. So here's the thing. With a long email, you want to try to stay focused on, again, the reason why you would want that email to be long, which is actually trying to sell people on the idea of a bronzer. But again, you have to question the utility of that, like the purpose of that. You only need a lot of copy if you need to overcome a lot of objections. Most people who buy bronzers or who are on a makeup and cosmetic email list don't need a whole lot of reasons to buy into the concept of a bronzer. And if you were trying to sell it to people on that whole notion of like, this is why you would want a bronzer, you would need to approach it from a completely different angle. So that's my response to you there. I've seen ecom businesses that use long copy, like really long copy. And it works really well for them because they understand their list and they understand how they're trying to sell these products to people. So, like, for example, if I owned a beef jerky and biltong like thing and I was trying to sell an email, um, I would have a mix of engagement emails and I would have a mix of sales emails. The engagement emails would be all about like the benefits, like the hidden benefits, the unknown benefits of like beef jerky. But I would also go like further afield from that, like how protein works, like why bodybuilders need protein, how much protein is safe in a diet. I would answer questions like that in my engagement emails. And then I would have a soft sell at the end of those. Those would be the emails that I would write extensively. If you've watched my 4-hour watch me write emails stream, when I wrote value emails, that's what I was doing. Teach a concept, throw in a sale at the end, almost as an afterthought that's sort of tangentially related to that. If you want a master of people who do this, Daniel Throssell, Tarzan K, Chris Orzakowski, Ben Settle, they're all great. They're all great at that. Value, sale. For bronzer or for beef, if I'm just selling a simple beef, like, hey, today we're running a 10% off coupon on our beef, I would just focus on the discount and show a picture of the beef. Like most people on a beef email list want beef. They just need a reason to buy it. Like, and that reason doesn't need to be very strong. Hey, we've discounted it for this week. That's usually enough of a reason to sell beef jerky to people. Bronzer is in that same category where you have to sort of divide in your mind. Like, is this a sales email? Typically doesn't need to be very long. Or is this actual value? Like, are you teaching something? All right. We only need to write as much copy as we need to write. Right. So we must, I always balk at like words like must. Focus on benefits, not features. Ish. It really depends on the product. It depends on the awareness of the prospect. Like names, I cannot think of any off the top of my head. There was one Australian like body soap company, and they would write like 1,000-word emails, and like they would start every email off with like, "Hey, babe, looking pretty fine today." Yeah, like stuff like that. Like they were very playful with it. So, well, I mean, here's the thing: if I had a beef business, I wouldn't sell to India. Or I'd specifically target Pakistan and not India. I think they're fine with beef. So uh, there are no rules, but there are things that tend to work better than others. So I'll say that. All right, product page. It's the unique copy angles one. So it is specifically. God, I think Copy That has too many products. I think I'm just going to go through and make some of these products just not for sale anymore. I'm just going to get rid of them. No more products. Goodbye, products. Okay, here we go. Make it rain. All right. As you can see, no copy. Yes, there are maxims. There are maxims. If I don't want them, make them free. Nope, nope. If people wanted them, they'd buy them. I kid. I kid. All right. Product. Premium video course. This is all the basic stuff that we've covered before. Okay. All right. I just, without reading it, I can already tell you that this above the fold copy feels a little too long. But I do appreciate that this person watched a previous stream where Cody introduced this. We actually, guys, if you want a good example of like how much money you can get as a copywriter, we paid 2 weeks ago Cody $10 per word just for this, just for the right to use this, because she came up with a really good example of risk reversal. And then we tossed her $20 for 2 words. And you'd be surprised, but that's actually more common than you'd think in this world that we share. So, have you ever had a client tell you that you're the best writer they've worked with? Have you ever been asked how you come up with such great ideas? That feeling when a client recognizes your work is unique and that you are not just churning out the same old rehash ideas, that feeling is addicting, and for good reason. Clients love it when you're able to show them a unique angle, something that, all right, this is not working for me. And I'll explain why. It takes too long to get to the point. It's too coy. It's too like, no. So there's a concept in copywriting called a micro commitment. And what we found is that when you ask a question of the reader, if you can get them to nod their head yes as you're reading, like if you're asking questions, you want them to say yes. Because if they say yes to different questions that you ask them along the way during a piece of copy, they're going to be basically committing like, yeah, they're agreeing with your idea. So they're going to be more susceptible to your enticements. Those are called micro commitments. Very common in selling from the stage. So like if you make a claim or prove a point, say, isn't that amazing? Question mark. And then like you're nodding your head yes. And so all of a sudden people in the audience are going like, yeah, that is amazing. So they're pre-selling, they're persuading themselves on the concept of whatever you're introducing. So why am I introducing the concept of micro commitments here? The first thing you don't want your prospect to be doing when they read your copy is shaking their head. No, I've never experienced that before. That sounds dumb. That sounds like a completely alien concept to me. So here, there you go. It's not really working there. Second, go back to early in the stream. Bulleted copy, like good teaser copy, works better here. Now, this is the second, I think, of 3 submissions for this same masterclass about angles. Now, here's an angle that I haven't seen used before for this particular course. And I'm going to, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but basically, most newbie copywriters assume fallaciously that their job is to write words that sell. This is not true. It's just not true. Their job is to truck in ideas. A true copywriter is an idea person. A true copywriter, the person who gets paid really well, they're coming up with ideas all day, every day. They're constantly thinking about new approaches, new metaphors, new ways of selling a product, new things that they can throw out into the world to test. The advantage of coming up with copy angles, especially the way that Rod does it, is that oftentimes you can get to a point in your career where you're paid just to come up with ideas, not even to write the words. In fact, that's where Rod is in his career. He ain't a copywriter anymore. He ascended above copy. Like he's like you know that meme of the person who has like transcended the spiritual to the spiritual realm? That's where Rod is right now. His job all day, every single day, is to come up with ideas, to refine ideas, to think about new ideas for brands, for billion-dollar brands. And so the advantage, the benefit of learning how to generate copy angles is that it helps you provide for a business what they truly need. The copy is a useful execution of the ideas that you come up with. But what you need to come up with first is the idea. So if you're going to revise this, play around with that idea, with that concept that angle that I just introduced you to you, and make this more bulleted. Stop waiting for inspiration. Learn this one simple, overlooked skill to consistently impress clients. That's not bad. If you want to impress clients with your copy, you need to realize one thing: copywriters aren't paid to write; they're paid to come up with ideas. Hey, this person actually used the idea that I just threw out to you. And the best copywriters are able to repeatedly create and sell unique ideas angles. Fortunately, you don't need to be a genius to consistently produce original ideas. All you need is to understand what ideas are and 3 ways of generating new ideas. All it takes is 60 seconds to come up with a unique angle. I want you to revise this. It just needs to be punched up. You're very close. Rewrite this, get it bullet driven, get it more on point with like a product descriptions copy. Utilize this, what I just did, but punched up. Think about again, what is a better angle for approaching this idea about selling with ideas? If you can do that, I think I would buy this copy from you. The other problem that I see is that because it's a shorter masterclass, I want to see more bullets. Like actually drill in, provide a few more bullets, and also really hammer home the true benefits of actually coming up with unique ideas and how that can set a copywriter apart. Really, really, really hammer home that benefit. So, yeah, first 2 or 3 sentences had me saying no. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Rod is making money. Yeah, that is absolutely the case. So, you, person who wrote this, you're close. It needs to be refined. All right. So, check. And we got another piece of product description copy for the storytelling masterclass. Okay. Before I get into this, how is everybody doing? I need to take like a brain break. I need like decompression. Who has questions? Who wants to know a thing about copywriting? I need to rest before I delve into another one of these. I'm okay. I'm a little stressed. I have a ton of projects that are due this week. I have a big meeting tomorrow. Just trying to juggle a lot of stuff. Like doing 2 campaigns right now. It's brutal. Life be brutal. And then I'm also dealing with just like your sort of regular family holiday stuff. Building custom GPTs that actually work. Cool. I've used the Chat GPT. I've downloaded the whole large language model before, and I've tried to train it on sales letters. It's a mess. It just doesn't work. Who wrote that goat SL? It's either Mike Palmer or somebody working with Mike Palmer. Getting lowballed by a client for a full website. It's practice that we track on. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm tired, man. I'm beat. I'm dragging ass today. I've actually spent the last week sort of in a sour mood. Like I try not to let my emotions or feelings sort of interfere or with my the on-stage presence, but I will be honest, I've been a little down in the dumps relatively as of late. I think it's just a holiday thing combined with getting over being sick. Things like that. So, but yeah, getting lowballed by clients, it's common. You're going to encounter that a lot. Again, clients want the most from you while paying the least. And so oftentimes what you have to do is sort of knock it out of the park and then figure out how to justify your prices from there. These glasses do not have blue light blockers. How to write copy that doesn't bore Sean. If I knew. If I knew. Sometimes my own writing bores me, but for me, it's really about flow and how should I say, having a good pace with your writing. Like writing that propels me forward, keeps me engaged and interesting. So, about me page for a copywriter. What's a good angle? Storytelling or direct? It depends on the brand that you want to put out there in the world. Like if I were doing an about me page for myself, I'd be goofy as fuck because that's on brand for me. That's just who I am. And so I don't want to sell people something that they're going to be blindsided by later. And so what I would do is, if I were writing an about me page about myself, I would say something along the lines of to tell you the truth, I'm not a copywriter. I'm not a marketer. Paragraph, paragraph. I'm actually an arsonist. Paragraph, paragraph. And then I would expand and explain that. And so I would just do something surprising and different. So yeah, I think I'm going to go to Japan again next year for 6 weeks. I spent 6 weeks in Japan this year. I also spent 4 weeks in Florida. I think in June I'm going to go to Japan for a month. So, any books you'd recommend to improve your copy? We have a whole video on our channel about the books that we would recommend to people. We actually, as a matter of fact, on this page, copywriting guides, books every copywriter should read, go here. Not only is the video up there, but also we have affiliate links. So if you want us to get the 2 cents from you buying the book through our website, there you go. So these are all books that you can read that are going to ideally improve your copy. But here's the truth. And I'm doing this just to be completely honest with you. No book is going to improve your copy. The only person who can improve your copy is you. And you have to do that by reading copy and practicing copy. Books are really good for giving you the theory, a sort of scaffold for improving your copy. But still, the only person who can do it is you. So, rough, pretty rough. I was a goth in high school, if you would believe it. Yeah, holidays, man. It's just, how do I spend my day, my routine? Well, guess what? Hey, we have a video about that too. There's a whole video that each of us did where we walked through and talked about our day as a copywriter and what they typically look like. To be completely honest with you, I was actually thinking about so I think it was last week I did a stream where it was watch me write a special report. And I kind of enjoyed that. It was mostly me answering questions and things like that. But I was thinking about doing a stream where I live streamed my full day, working day. And mostly just ignored chat, but legitimately just this is what a day in a copywriter looks like. From wake up to breakfast to workout to getting my kids ready for school, all of it. Every single minute of my day. Pooping, you gotta poop as a copywriter. So, I would live stream that. That would be the poop stream. So, and then I would just I do it with my laptop or do it with my phone. So, Yeah, I listen to a lot of metal. I've been listening to a lot of Lamb of God recently, especially when I work out. It's pretty good. I know you're heavily in demand plus holidays. Bummer to hear that. Do I usually enjoy Christmas time? Uh, no, and here's why not. I'm typically the busiest around Christmas time because, like, all the businesses that I work with, like, are having their end of the year campaigns. Everybody's in a mad scramble to get stuff done before people go away for the holidays, and yeah, it's a lot. And then, like, I how should I say? I'm not super close with my extended family. Um, and so, like, holidays are always just kind of weird for stuff like that. Take the copywriting secrets book sales page. How do we know when to mention what problems pains desire? I don't know what you mean. Anime plus Duolingo is nice for Japanese. EA, but don't touch mashite. Would you mind showing some copy you've written recently that you're proud of? That I'm proud of? That I'm proud of? The most the copy that I've written recently that I'm most proud of is actually editorial. Though I guess I'm pretty proud of. So let me just ask you this, Luke. Do you want to see editorial that I'm proud of, or do you want to see? So there's three. So there's editorial, there's video scripts that I've been working on, and then there's whatchamahoos it. There is a actual sales page that I did for copy that. So what do you want to say? I'll do one. Have I ever mentored someone? Yeah, I've mentored a lot of people. When I was actually working at Agora, I was a senior copywriter, so like I definitely mentored some people, and I've definitely coached them through the writing process and given them feedback on their copy. Copy that actually used to have a mentorship program, but it was just too little money for the amount of time that we were spending on it. So, and like we don't want to charge $1,000+ for access to us. We'd rather do stuff like this. So this is the closest that you can get. I think the only other people that I've mentored are people that I've hired to work for me. And that's that. Writing a ton of bullets is amazing practice. Yeah, absolutely. I have a question, bro. I am from Germany, so uni is free. Do you think I should use that opportunity to learn writing copy and marketing by myself? Um, I think that everybody should learn marketing and copy by themselves, and then only when they get a foothold in the industry and like start making money should they spend money on like courses and books and things like that, like upskilling. But you can learn all the basics for free. Now, I unlike most other YouTubers in this space, I'm very pro university. I mean, fucking Christ, I have 4 degrees, 4 of them. And so I'm probably the most pro university person here. Now, if I had a choice, would I go back in time and change my degree to like mass communication and copywriting? The answer to that is no. Like, I would not want to major in advertising. What I want to do is I would want to either minor in advertising, but focus on something else. And here's the reason why. The best ideas that you will ever have in your career as a marketer are going to come from you being able to combine and think about very different ideas and bring them together. We call that idea sex. I stole that from James Altucher. And so for me, one of the benefits that I have as a copywriter that a lot of other people don't have, it's sort of my, distinct advantage in this career is that I my first real adult job was at a biotech company. Like I worked for Amgen, like I almost got another degree in linguistics while I was getting my first master's degree. Like when I was getting my second master's degree, I was also learning how to be a TA in the philosophy of science department. Like most of the books, not on that shelf, which is all fiction, but on that shelf, which is all nonfiction, like a lot of those are just dedicated to just different topics. Like last year, I read an entire book about the history of the phone book. A lot of my ideas for copy just come from being able to synthesize different stuff. And I'm able to synthesize different stuff because my educational background is so varied. and comes from a lot of different places and what involved a lot of different things. And so my leg up in the copywriting world is that I'm able to yoke together stuff that people just don't think to yoke together. And so if you go to university, like take advantage of it for being free. Do copywriting as your sort of 5 to 9, like on the side. There's no problem with that. And then like learn something that you can bring to bear on your career. Because here's the thing. If you get good at copywriting and say you go into like engineering or some shit like that, well, guess what? There are tons of high paying technical writing jobs. There are tons of really well paying, like public relations jobs for engineering firms. And guess what? It is hard to find good writers for those positions. There you go. Anyway, yeah, I'm not showing pictures of that, but also like that era was pre digital phone or digital camera. So I don't really have many. Would not have imagined me as a goth, but I was also definitely a class clown. So I was the only goth that was actually funny. Do I enjoy writing critical essays? No. Do you think that visiting pages like ClickBank and reading the product landing pages works as reading copy? Of course I do. Yeah, like I read ClickBank promos all of the time. I love it. Like ClickBank is mwah, it's a beautiful space to read long form copy. EA, that's Japanese for basically no. Okay. Whatever my heart desires. Well, I already walked through the copy that landing page recently, so I'll go into something that I wrote relatively recently that I'm proud of. So let me see if I can find it. Open a new window. Here we go. So this was one of the newsletters that I write on a monthly basis. This is the Legacy Cash Alert. Just ignore the Japanese. This is the part that got translated. And basically, what I did was I went through these 3 books and I legitimately pulled out econometrics out of all of them, like just dozens and dozens and dozens of them, all leading and lagging indicators. And what I did was I got the data for each of these econometrics and I put them into Excel and I found out which ones were most correlated with 5-year future stock returns. And so as I went through, what I did was I said, okay, if you can model those future stock returns, well, what can you do? So I started with one that was pretty highly correlated with 5-year future stock returns, US housing starts. And you can kind of see that when housing starts are high, your future returns tend to be pretty low. You can see that on the chart. And so I made all these charts. I found the data, I actually did the math, and I actually plotted out regression lines for all of them. And I used that model to predict what the actual future return of the stock market is going to be about 5 years from now if you bought right now based on these econometrics. And I explained each one. I explained the prediction. I explained the models and how I came up with stuff. And then what I did, like just explaining concepts like along the way. And guess what? Of these 5 econometrics that I chose, 3 of them said that the returns from the stock market 5 years from now are going to be perfectly average. And one of them said that it was going to be a little bit below average. And one of them said it was going to be a little bit above average. And so I did all that work only to find out that all these econometrics, based on where they are right now, are basically predicting that if you just bought the S&P 500 and held for 5 years, you'd get what you've always gotten, which is just average returns. I did all that work, all that math, and I discovered that what has happened before shall happen again. But I was like, okay, that's deeply unsatisfying. And that's obviously going to be unsatisfying for readers of this particular newsletter. And so what I did was I then went into Google Sheets and I built a Monte Carlo simulator for the stock market, basically showing like the different standard deviations and how a mean could actually move along the axis. I basically showed like, listen, like going up on average can mean different things. And so what I did was I was like, okay, over the course of 5 years, let's like see an average return, but like let's see different pathways there where we can still say on average, it still went up on average, but the path it took to get there was different. So it could just go gradually up at a steady rate of 10% per year. There we go. That's what the models are predicting. But you can also see like it could just go sideways for 3 years and then spike. It could also go down for 3 years and then spike. It could go way up, but then come down, and then your returns are just average. It can go up and then down and then up again. Like, what I'm trying to do here is trying to teach people, like, emotionally, psychology, average returns actually means very, very different things experientially. And so this particular piece, I think, does a very good job of showing, like, listen, based on everything that we're seeing right now, we're probably just going to see what we've seen in the past. But that looks like a lot of different things. And if you're going to be a good investor, you have to mentally steel yourself for all these different possibilities. Because all of these are quote unquote average returns after 5 years. They all end up in the same spot. But your experience of them, oh man. Like, can you imagine like buying the stock market right now and then it goes down for 3 years while you're just holding? Like, that Sean MacIntyre, he told me that returns would be average after the end of 5 years. Well, yeah, this is one way. It often happens this way. Just look at 2001 to 2003. So there you go. So yeah, I'm proud of this newsletter, this particular newsletter, because I think it really captures one of the things that I'm trying to constantly teach people on DIY Wealth, my financial channel, which is that like the best way to be is just level. Like just like it doesn't matter what you invest in, so matter is that you invest and you prepare yourself for all these different possibilities and trust that what has happened before will happen again given time. And giving time is the one thing that I think investors have the most trouble with because psychology gets in the way. So that's a lot of work, but coming up with those possibilities was really creative thinking to rescue the idea. Yep, that I had to do it because again, like if you're writing a newsletter where you're talking about like I'm going to predict the future of the market, there's nothing more unsatisfying than it'll just be normal. Like if it were great, buy, or if it were like, oh, it's gonna be terrible, sell, like that'd be something. But I had to, like you said, salvage the idea. Yeah. So this is the kind of writing that I do like normally. Like this is what I spend the majority of my time doing. Like 4 to 6 hours a day, I'm writing stuff like this. And like most of that time is actually just being like, well, shit. And then opening Excel again. So you have the ability to come up with data-driven information by yourself. That's an ability that you talked about a few streams ago, but I can't remember what the actual name was. Yeah, it is called primary research. So what most copywriters do is they'll do what's called secondary source research, which is, they'll read a book or they'll read an article, they'll copy paste, they'll paste the link, yada yada yada. They won't actually go out and interview people. They won't actually sit with an Excel spreadsheet and bring things together and actually build a model that actually predicts something. This is all original information. Like this information does not exist anywhere else on the planet except the stuff that I wrote. That is why it sells well in Japan. I still need to work on like actually selling this stuff in the US. I have a person working on it. But yeah, so the kind of stuff that I do. Where do I press? What stonk to buy to make Lambo? Ugh, I hate it. How many pages? You can see at the bottom here. The whole newsletter is 36 pages, but the actual intro article is about, let's see, the intro article was about 3,600 words, 4,000 words, etc. So 23, so about 20 pages. So that's one newsletter. I write 5 newsletters per month, and they each fall into that like 15 to 20 page range. They don't pay us $1,000 to do that. Yeah, no, it's again, the amount of research that you do should depend on like the level of intensity and how much you're getting paid for the job. If it's just a $5 Upwork gig, don't open Excel ever. But if you're getting paid $15,000 to write this kind of stuff, yeah, maybe put on a little bit of legwork that nobody else has done before. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Yeah, of course you can cross pollinate this into other niches. Like there's a reason why like I'm able to write like candle copy pretty well, and it's because like one of the first things that I did when I got hired to write candle copy, candle product copy, and PPC ads was I bought fucking candles. I lit them. I smelled them. I like actually thought about the experience, the firsthand experience of the candles that I was selling. I'm doing the same thing here with numbers and finance, but it works for candles too. It works for everything. Appreciate you, man. Start in-house. Is all that work you do weekly freelance? No. So I have a complicated situation where I have 5 businesses. I am the managing director of a content licensing business that is owned by Agora and the Mark Ford, basically. And what that business does is it takes my content, Mark Ford's content, and other content that we buy, and it licenses it to other affiliates. The biggest affiliate that we have is in Japan, which is why I'm in Japan so often, and why this newsletter opens with Japanese. So this gets translated into Japanese. They sell it, or they issue it to people that they sold it to, yada yada yada, and there you go. So yeah, $15,000. Don't half-ass that shit. Is copywriting banned on Instagram as a search term? I had no. Hold on. Oh, I need to actually sign in. Never mind. I give up. Too hard. Too hard to check that. I don't care. I don't care enough. All right. How are you able to write for 6 hours and do other mentally exhausting tasks? What supplements or brain foods? I used to take more supplements. I used to take more nootropics. I don't anymore. I also used to take Adderall because I have ADHD, but I don't anymore. I'm currently unmedicated entirely. Listen, like Stephen King in On Writing talks about this, which is that sitting down and writing and focusing, it's a muscle, like any other kind of muscle, you can like extend it and extend beyond the range and progressively overload. If you can't focus for 30 minutes, man, set a timer and try to focus for 35. And then the next day, try for 36. And then when you're like me and you're 20 years into a career in writing for money, yeah, you'll be able to sit down and focus and think about stuff for like 6 hours. Now, I say that, and I want you to take a grain of salt because, like, some people are just built different. I want to be honest with you and say that there's some stuff that I do that I don't think is replicable by other people. I do have ADHD. I have a propensity for hyperfocus. There have been days where I have just sat here and sat working and writing for 12 to 16 hours straight. I have not gotten up to eat. I have not gotten up to pee. Nothing. And what typically happens there is I just get really lost in the sauce on a particular project. I don't think that everybody has that. And I don't think that's healthy. So I wouldn't advise it. So yeah, like try to extend a little bit, but like I think that there's just something wrong with my brain. So let's see. Yeah, copywriting that's not in English. There you go. Copywriting, Instagram says some messed up stuff when you type in copywriting. Cody, don't leave me hanging. From Instagram, when you type in copywriting, Protect your favorite brands. The sale or promotion of counterfeit goods is not allowed on Instagram. You are searching for terms that may be associated with posts that encourage the sale or promotion of counterfeit goods. Oh man, very interesting. Yeah, big same. The project that I'm working on right now is actually, so I'm writing a report called my number one stock for 2024. I did a report in 2022 called my number one stock for 2022, and I picked ATVI, so Blizzard Activision, and I picked that stock right before it was announced that they were getting bought up by Microsoft. So like that was like an instant 40% pop. So nailed it, knocked it out of the park. The second one, my number one stock for 2023 was Broadcom, AVGO. That thing's like up 70% this year so far. So again, knocked it out of the park. And so I don't know if you caught the stream last week, but I basically told my thesis, which is like for my number one stock for 2024, it's technically not going to be a stock. It's going to be bonds. It's going to be bonds. And that's just because of like the macroeconomic situation. Very exciting stuff. Yeah, it's listen, ADHD, when you channel it well and when you come up with good coping mechanisms, it can be a superpower. But honest to God, like, you know, it can be a burden. It can be a total burden, especially because like, the emotional dysregulation that comes along with ADHD. It's a massive pain in the ass. So no, I totally understand. But yeah, like copywriting and Instagram, like I guess there were some smarmy motherfuckers who were just like putting stuff out there. I wonder if the copy that show Instagram is like coming up in people searches. Yeah, this stream is not investment advice. This is true. They messed up the whole outreach gurus. Yeah, I imagine that like because first there was Sean Ferris, and then I think Tyson 4D like got the Instagram DM like method of getting clients from Sean Ferris. If I am remembering history correctly, which who knows? I have no idea. Um, but I strongly suspect that like a lot of people were just very aggressively trying to get clients through Instagram and like by the thousands. And at a certain point, like, what are you selling? So that's probably why Instagram cracked down on that term. But that's all speculation. I have no idea. Yeah. Listen, cash is king right now, especially if you have it in like cash equivalents, like short-term treasury bonds, SGOV, money market funds. It's crazy. How long would you say it takes to be finance savvy as you are? And don't say it depends, please. Okay, I'll give you the honest answer. I first started learning about finance when I was 5 years old because my grandfather and my father were both financial advisors and brokers. So, like, I made my first trade. I sat down at a Bloomberg terminal when I was 11 years old. Like, I've been doing this and thinking about financial stuff for 30 years, over 35 years. So, if you want the honest answer, how long does it take to be as financially savvy as me in particular? 35 years. There you go. Yeah. So listen, no comment on the people involved, but there's a few people watching. And if you're watching the replay, I love you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've managed to get this far. And I hope you've gotten value out of the stream so far. But for the people watching right now, I want to impart a lesson on you guys. One of the things that Copy That does that I am proud of is that we don't sell blueprints, we don't sell templates, we don't sell quick and easy advice. Hey, do this thing, get clients fast. We just don't do that because that's not how the world fucking works. And the reason why we don't do that is because copywriting has 3 levels that you need to be aware of: principles that never change, strategies that rarely change, and tactics that change every month, every year, yada, yada. Now, when it comes to getting clients, we're still talking about selling a service. We're still talking about copywriting. The principle of getting a client, those don't change. The strategies for getting clients, they're mutable. Like, for example, like every now and again, a new platform like Instagram comes up. There wasn't an Upwork 20 years ago. So that's a new strategy that you can use to get clients. Now, tactics. So, for example, reaching out to businesses on Instagram. That's an implementation, a tactical implementation of a strategy for getting a client on a platform and cold outreach. Now, here's the thing. Tactics change so often because once one group of people notices that a tactic is working and then they start selling that idea to other people, well, then everybody's using the same tactic. The efficacy of it stops working because, and I said this before on the stream, uniqueness is what sells in copywriting. And so here's the thing, the people that get clients, the people who get clients really well and have an easy time getting clients, they are the people that understand the principles and understand, like, okay, I see that method, that tactic getting a little oversaturated. I'm going to instead do this thing over here or vary that tactic in some novel and unique way. Those are the people that make the big bucks in this business. Those are the people that have no trouble getting clients because they are thinking principally and strategically, not tactically. So the next time you see, 47 proven hacks for, I don't know, getting rid of your butt pimples or something like that, that's all mostly tactical stuff. For the easy peasy blueprints for getting clients, it's all tactical stuff. You want to learn that stuff, but then learn how you can think critically about it and change it so that nobody else has a tactic but you. So think about that. Let's see. You didn't choose finance fantasy. It's actually, I've thought about that before. Like, I went to my first bachelor's degree was in English. And I was just like, I ran to the arts to get away from the quantitative side of things. But before I was an English major, I was a math major, then I was a music major, et cetera, et cetera. So I still use threads when I want to get away from the toxicity of X. Ah, I love you too. Like Hormozy's tactics. Weren't people getting pissed because he's been giving away so much value for free? Yeah, people were pissed about it, but here's I really like Alex Hormozy. I really like Alex Hormozy. Even though I'm in a business that is technically in competition with Alex Hormozy and am probably going to lose business as a result. I'm talking about my financial business in America. But here's the thing. His two books, he's not revealing anything new. He's not coming up with anything novel. He's simply assembling. And this is, I think, his superpower. He is really good at listening to and learning from people that are smarter and more experienced than him, and then synthesizing it into something new. And by that, I mean, he's just doing a bunch of the stuff that other people have done, but he's combining it in a way that nobody's done before. He didn't invent fucking free value. He didn't invent that, but nobody has done it to the extent that he has before. And that's why it's working. That's why he has that whole 1 of 0 thing going on. He's the only person really doing that. But he's not doing anything new. And here's the thing. That's brilliant. It's so good. And it's also, I hope, educational for you guys. So, yeah, same principles repackaged. Oh, stop it. When I was a teenager, I played trumpet and then I played orchestral bass, and then I got cubital tunnel syndrome. So these 3 fingers don't work so good no more, and so I transitioned to electrical bass, and then I transitioned to guitar. But I can also kind of pick up any stringed instrument and figure it out pretty quickly. A friend of mine has a ukulele, and I was just jamming on that for a few hours over the weekend. I started learning piano. Piano is easy for me too, but it's just basic musical theory. So yeah, no, somebody in every industry, somebody like Alex Hormozy comes along every now and again and says, "Okay, everybody has to do a little bit better now." So I have read $100 million offers. I have not read $100 million leads. In fact, well, I thought I had it on this side of the desk, but I don't. So there you go. How to find principles, strategies, and tactics of copy. Listen, the principles of copy are the principles of persuasion and rhetoric. So if you want to understand the principles of copy, you just need to understand the principles of argumentation and persuasion and like what those are. And like people have been writing about that since the ancient times. Like Aristotle has a book on rhetoric. So if you want to find the nascent, the larval versions of everything that copywriters are doing today, and principally, it's all there. It's all out there. It's free. And so it's only when you get into strategies, that's when you want to start like looking into like books. Like the principles you can learn for free. The strategies, like you need to learn from different people, you need to learn from different niches, you need to actually like learn what people are doing contextually. And the only way to do that is to either listen to people on YouTube, get mentorship, or read books. And then tactics, you'll just find them everywhere. Yeah, and more often than not, like if you read 5 pieces of copy that are put out in the same time era and then compare that to 5 other pieces of copy in some other time era, you'll just notice them like using the same principles and strategies but incorporating different tactics. It's more of a awareness thing. We actually did this. We have a whole video where we taught every single type of copy but in song. Can I super chat you to analyze a sales page for a famous product, or is that not how it works? I don't know what you mean, so I'm going to assume that that's not how it works. Have I ever tried songwriting? I don't sing. I've written lyrics before, but what I like to do is I like to find harmonically interesting chord progressions. That's my jam. I actually just wrote a song. I don't have any lyrics for it, but I wrote it on guitar. And the finger picking pattern, I was watching a bunch of videos on polyrhythms. I thought, how interesting would it be to have a song that's based on a 3, like the finger picking pattern, be a 3 against 2 finger picking pattern. And so, like, this hand is doing 3, this hand is doing 2. So it's like, no, that's 4 against 3. So it's so this hand's doing 3, this hand's doing 2. And so I thought, how could I translate that to like an actual like finger picking pattern? And so I came up with that, and then I wrote a song that was based on that, and I had the chord progression be all the harmonic series where I'm jumping ahead 3 chords in the circle of fifths and then coming back 2. So I wrote an entire song around that concept. I think it sounds okay. I don't know. So. Can I give you money to analyze copy? Thank you for translating. No, I'm still technically going to go through this. I'm just I just needed a brain break, dude. I mean, yeah, if you speak persuasively, you're speaking in copy. And yes, I am. What would your ultimate advice for somebody for mastering email copywriting and what to avoid? The ultimate advice for mastering email copy is just to sign up for every list you can and break down email copy every single day. The advantage of email copy is that it's very short, so you can read a lot of emails in a day and analyze what they're doing. If you go and watch the video that we released last Thursday, where I wrote like 4 emails and explained like how to think about email copy, you'll see kind of what I mean. Like a lot of the skill of writing email copy just really comes from like having the trappings and having the tropes of email in your brain, like just easily accessible. And it's a time thing. Like the copywriting, there's maybe like 167 secrets total. That's it. They're actually easier to learn than most people make them out to be. And, you can certainly make a career only knowing 90 of those secrets. But you can know all those secrets and still never make money as a copywriter because here's the thing, like copywriting is not a knowledge gap, it's a practice gap. And the only way to practice is to read more copy and to write more copy in line with what's working. So, yes, the term is definitely procrastinating. All right, let's actually dig in. Discover the technique wielded by the best copywriters on the planet. Grab your prospects by the short and curl. So that's an expression that I use fairly often, but it's not appropriate for a product page. And skillfully guide them through the purchase button of your client's product. In this masterclass, you will learn storytelling from a nationally published award-winning short story writer, Sean MacIntyre. It's true. And walk away with a priceless copywriting technique that will give you an edge over your competition. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels bleh, a little bland. Your copywriting ace in the hole. Captivate your customers. Create intrigue with the core fundamentals used by the greats of storytelling to have your readers' attention on lockdown. Another quiver for your bow. Another skill to add to your arsenal that will help you creatively compel customers in ways that other copywriters cannot. These bullets feel weak to me. And like, I understand what this is trying to do. It's trying to say, okay, like the best copywriters on the planet use storytelling. You will be able to get your customers to buy more if you use storytelling in it. But it all feels very disconnected. It feels like you're writing at me. I don't think this is very I don't think it flows very well. It feels very bland. Yeah. Yeah, every piece of copy needs to relate to what's in it for me. Like how does it relate to what a customer wants? Are you a wandering copywriter? That not useful. It is unique, but like unique in a vague way. It's not ultra specific, it's just vague. Dead end. All I seem to do is wander in the world of copywriting, going down different paths and ending up back where I started. No direction, just getting by, trying to find my own way. All the gurus with their courses, promising to show me the map to freedom, only to run off into the night with my money. The same concepts are neatly packaged and regurgitated. This time, storytelling is the culprit. You're trying to use storytelling, but we're not engaging or entering into a particularly engaging story. This is not working. So, in the storytelling masterclass, one of the things that I talk about is a concept of the structure of stories. All right. So everybody who is not in the Patreon is about to get a little mini teaser lesson from like a advanced masterclasses in the Patreon. So if you look at the structure of stories, every story has a 3-part structure to them. Some people call it the beginning, middle, and end. Some people call it the placement, displacement, and replacement. It's all basically the same concept. But in that first third, in that beginning portion, what you typically see is you have a hook or stinger or some sort of like moment of higher tension than normal before it gets into what's called exposition. Exposition is the point of a story where you're like, okay, it's like imagine like a Pixar movie and you have like a playful cat who's also a cat burglar. I should write this movie. And so obviously a cat is going to be a burglar. That's just how Pixar movies work. And so this cat is like running from the police and like it's the movie cold opens with this cat running, and like, oh, he has the money, and like he's freaking out, and then he like jumps to like get away from the police, and then the screen pauses, and like you hear the cat's voice, and you hear, you might be wondering how I got to this point. That's a good example of how you start with a hook and then you segue into exposition, some backstory. And then what happens once you get out of act one of whatever it is you're writing, then you get into a period of rising action where the yearning of the character starts to manifest in a series of either plot or character changes that builds to some sort of climax. Great. Okay. Now that I've explained that, do you feel like this is starting with enough tension to justify an intriguing or exciting story? Y or N in the chat? Here, I'll give my answer. Yeah, N. Sounds like a children's book. Yeah, it's not working. It's not working. So with a story, you really have to start at a point of like higher tension. This is the beginning of what, because I've taught creative writing before, and one of the things that we taught in creative writing was the fact that like one of the things that we always saw in every single creative writing class was a story where like a person is struggling mentally, and they get up out of bed and they go to the bathroom, and they look in the mirror, and they're thinking like, oh, all I do is date the wrong women, yada yada yada, and the story usually ends with like getting a phone call from the same guy that this person has basically like committed to breaking up with, yada yada. We call them bathroom mirror stories. This feels like the beginning of a bathroom mirror story, and the problem with bathroom mirror stories is that there's no tension, there's no yearning, there's no hook at the beginning of higher tension that allows for a smooth segue into some like I like the reader going, I need more information about this. So that's what I want you to keep in mind when you start a story. So if any of you go to like sit down and write a piece of fiction, short or long, your first paragraph, I want you to come out of the gate guns blazing. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't mean that every story needs to be like action filled. You can have like a really cerebral, really like, how should I say, encyclopedic, non action driven, like non speculative story that just starts with like a person's tension or yearning. Like if the story is going to be about a breakup, like start at a moment of like the couple in a fight. Like start in the middle of the action so that again, there's a hook of tension that draws people in. Anyway, there you have a very long, elaborate segment of what this particular piece of copy is trying to sell. Yeah, Justin Blackman wrote an email about the specific phenomenon a few days ago. It was really insightful. Yeah, it's start with tension, exposition, rising action, conflict. Conflict drives stories. You need it. All right. Let's see. So check. Okay, we have a VSL. We have multiple email campaigns. I'll read one. And I think that that's going to be it for today. I think that's all I'll be able to handle. Cody, I do see that you have landing page copy. I do see that there's an upward profile, but this is what I will be able to sort of handle today. I do know that I took a long break in there, but like, please, I need to retain my sanity. Okay. Oh God, the pain pierced my heart as the jolt of thunder through a tree in a hurricane. My client said my copy was ass. You shouldn't be keeping count. Okay. Yeah, a little bit. I just like listen. It's not you. It's me. I started this week out like sort of out of sorts. I just wanted to make sure that we did at least one stream this week where like I actually delivered value and help people out. Sample of Bayside Branding's mini VSL. View, zoom, 150. Okay. Context: this mini video sales letter will go on an Amazon automation landing page. Okay. From my research, I found that there are tons and tons of scams in the e-com automation space, so our audience is very jaded. Cool. Our target market is middle-aged men who have a sizable amount of money. They want to invest about $20,000 plus and have wanted to get into e-com for a while. Love it. They're looking for a passive form of income. When someone gets into Amazon, they are usually faced with the choice of starting their own brand or selling name brands like Clorox. My client did not have access to name brand items and had a track record of scaling brands for himself and his clients, so I chose to go down that route and use that as our USP. Love it. I appreciate you. Next week. So, and also, I think this past Sunday, Alex did a surprise stream. So maybe I will get around, like, because I can't be like one upped by Alex. So now I have to do a surprise stream on a Sunday. Hey, I've got something to show you. Show screen of Amazon dashboard results. Check out this brand we're scaling. We just sold through our first batch of inventory in 30 days. This is fine. The hey, take a look at this thing hook, it works. It works really well. But I think that this would be better if it were more specific. So like in financial copy, take a look at this stack of papers. ... This stack of papers is actually the printed out Federal Register for 2013. Buried on page 1700 of this stack of papers is a small law that is going to change investing forever. It's that hyper specificity that like really draws people in. That's how that hook works. So, no. Just no. Absolutely fucking not. All right. So, show screen of Amazon dashboard results. Check out this brand we're scaling. We just sold through our first batch of inventory in 30 days. This brand. So if you're going to be vague with this brand, I would qualify it like this, easy to access or like easy to spin up or easy to start brand. Something that like hints at, like I'll just steal it from Kyle, the Nesby of it, like, new, easy, safe, big. Check out this brand we're scaling, has no subtext. Hey, I've got something to show you, has no subtext. That's what I was getting at before with the specificity. So you want to find a way to weave some subtext into the sentence. So, okay. So for DIY wealth, this is just a hint of things to come. I have 2 videos that are coming out. One is about like making choices, thinking along the lines of like how to treat things as a financial decision, even if they're not. And I have another video coming out, and here's the title of the video: Lamborghini versus minivan. Now, if these videos do well, the people that I made these videos with, I have promised them that for next year, next December at Art Basel, we are going to show up to this art show and buy a $30,000 piece of art, but we're going to go dressed in top hats and monocles. So if you want that to happen, subscribe to DIY Wealth. Yes, at least partially. So we just sold through our first batch of inventory in 30 days, but what's even better is that we've made it to the top 10 bestseller ranking. Show screen, Amazon dashboard. So in a few weeks we broke even. and the owner of this brand is pocketing a cool 6 to 8K month after month after month. I mean, why do you feel like you need to have we broke even? Why not just skip right to pocketing a cool 6 to 8K? So, things to keep in mind. Until the busy season rolls around, and as you can imagine, it just goes up from there. That sounds speculative. Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm the founder of Bayside Brandings, where I've managed to build and scale multiple 6 and 7 figure brands. And I've even managed to exit a few of them. So, this again goes back to subtext. Check out this brand we're scaling, it has no subtext. I've even managed to exit a few of them, does not communicate what I think you're trying to communicate. What I think you're trying to communicate is that you've sold them to other businesses for a hot, nasty load of cash. Now, here's the thing. If this person did do that, if Bayside Brandings sold these brands for a hot, nasty wad of cash, say that I've even managed to sell a few of the brands that I've built for a hot, nasty wad of cash. Like, think about what you're communicating with the words that you're choosing. All in all, structurally, we're good so far. What you need to work on right now is like functionality and sentence level stuff. So, together with my partner, Chris, we have over 17 years of experience operating and scaling ecom brands. And if you give me 30 seconds, I'll explain how we got into this business and how you can get into it too. Hmm. Again, subtext needed, benefits needed. Make sure to include the nasty. Despite our track record on the platform, Amazon only let us own one store. But by partnering with investors, we're allowed to operate several stores and benefit from economies of scale. Nobody, listen, I write in finance. Nobody knows what the fuck that means. Find simpler ways of describing these complicated terms and terminologies, especially if you are working with a very small and like compressed format, like a mini VSL. That's how we've hired top tier talent, built systems, and created an assembly line of profitable Amazon brands. Let me explain how all this works. Say we bring on, okay. Before you get to this, we need some examples. Listen, together with my partner Chris, we have over 17 years of experience operating and scaling ecom brands like this one that sold this amount. Or, for example, this one that sold this amount. Or, for example, this one that actually sold for this amount. Be specific, show examples. Now, if you give me 30 seconds of your time, bring it earlier, find a way to bring it earlier. Despite our track record on the platform, Amazon only lets us own one store. This part, I don't see how it fits in yet. That's how we've hired top-tier talent, built systems, and created an assembly line of profitable Amazon brands. Now, I can kind of intuit what this is doing. Like, hey, we want you to come on board. We'll partner with you, and then we'll scale a brand together. I understand that might be what it's trying to do, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't say it in the copy. So right now, I don't know what the fuck. So keep that in mind. Before we can scale that brand, there's extensive market research, testing, and optimization that happens. Sounds like work. Now, say another investor like you comes along, we already have the talent systems and a roadmap to build you a cash flowing Amazon brand. Okay. All right, I get it. So, what they are trying to do is they're trying to get capital to scale up a brand from investors. And they're going to pay out these investors based on the success or lack of success of that brand. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you can write more emotionally and write with more subtext, and that this would be better. Um, I think you need to be like find a different way of phrasing this. It's a proven business model that's allowing us to win when our clients win. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like there's just like it feels like there's a thread of logic that's missing here. We're often asked, why do you start your own brands instead of just selling things that people already buy? Okay, we're dealing with objections. We don't want to sell the exact same product as someone else because you're setting yourself up to get undercut. That sentence is unpleasant to read. And since this is a mini VSL, listen, okay, here's another piece of value. I've been dropping some knowledge bombs on you guys today. Here's a thing that you guys got to keep in mind. When you are writing for video, like video scripts, VSL scripts, things like that, not only do you need to make sure that your copy is punched up and like good, like persuasive and good and powerful, but you also need to actually read your copy the way that the person reading the copy or performing the copy would. If you find yourself getting tripped up by sentences, you've got to change it. And like it's subtle stuff too, like a repetition of sibilant sounds like like things like that. Things like that. Because the human mouth, like and most people when they're trying to enunciate, they'll just naturally stumble over certain combinations of phonemes. You often will not know what that is until you try to read stuff out loud the way that a person would perform it. So, yeah, I feel like it's losing focus. But like I also understand that it's also trying to be very compressed. So, it's trying to walk a tightrope, and I get it. And there goes our business, right? When we build something unique where we can establish a brand presence, it protects profits and sets us up for a 6 or 7 figure exit. That means no matter how popular selling on Amazon gets, when it just feels explainy, like it's not compel, it's boring copy. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not really working. I think there's good bones here. Like it's I want this copy to be better. I'm mad at you for not writing this better, person who wrote this, because it has so much potential. Like there's a lot you can do with this model, with this mechanism, with this style of writing. It just it could have been better. It all comes down to like, mostly wording, subtext, writing emotionally, like not being so explainy. End of the day, our goal is to build you a business that has long-term value and that you can sell if you decide. I, you know, listen. When people listen to this, like they're going to get confused. They're going to get very confused when they read this, when they listen to this, and so you have to make copy about a business model that people are perhaps unfamiliar with. You have to be so dead ass simple. Like you have to break it down so simply and in such a provocative and benefit driven way. So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. We got to be honest. I'm not sure what this is about. Listen, you all this copy right here, it is literally explaining what the opportunity is, and people are still getting confused. So that's something to keep in mind. That's not possible when you're selling things like Clorox wipes that a corporation already. Yeah, this start over again, rewrite it. It has good bones. Structurally, you get it. Now you need to think about the words. Like functionally, in terms of value, like make sure the idea is good, make sure that everything is like locked together. So hold on. I need to mark that as read. And now I'd love a review for these email campaigns. Let's get into that. All right. I'm not going to read 9 pages of copy. Email campaign 1, but these are image based, so maybe okay. This is a re-engagement email. Re-engagement sequence for a segmented list of inactive subscribers. Ooh, email written with a design perspective in mind. Design guidelines. Open rate 46.8%. Okay. Listen, I don't pay attention to open rates anymore, but that's not a bad open rate. Email subject line, your signature autumn piece. Email preview. Celebrate the new season with our exclusive deal. So far, so good. Banner. Celebrate autumn with our 2-for-1 deal. CTA, claim now. Over 3,000 5-star reviews. Background color. Gradient light brown and or similar instead of blue to match the autumn vibes. By the way, if you don't want to design stuff like in Canva, if you don't want to mock up stuff like this, you can just write like this and people will design it for you. Where are these VSL and emails posted? They are in the copy that Discord under exclusive critiques. And if you are a Patreon member, you can see them. Headline, uniquely yours for an elegant autumn. Okay. Background image, woman wearing cozy sweater and wearing a bracelet or customizable necklace. Okay. Link to the bracelet, link to the customized necklace. Text, embrace your individuality and personalize your cozy autumn outfits with unique jewelry pieces that reflect your style. Celebrate autumn with our 2-for-1 deal. Claim now. Over 3,000 5-star reviews. Or a gift. Uniquely yours for an elegant autumn. I don't hate this. Buy one, get one free. Interesting. Bring custom. Now, here's the thing. Celebrate autumn with our 2-for-1 deal. So this is a good example of what is called dimensionalization. Celebrate autumn with our 2-for-1 deal is the same as buy one, get one free. Now, the smart thing that this writer did was phrase it both ways. And you're going to find that there are lists and there are contexts where 2-for-1 sells better. And you're going to find that there are lists and contexts where buy one, get one free sells better. Copy. It weird, dudes. And so the cool thing about this that I like it is that it's trying to have its cake and eat it too. It's using the same appeal, but phrasing it differently. That is a good skill that I want all of you to learn. Bling custom letter necklace, crossbow pearl ring, layered chain set. 74 marked down to 45. Buy one, get one free. So yeah, listen, for an ecom email, this works. I wish Alex were here. There's also like an Upwork profile in there. I wish Rod were here to like help me review that. But honest to God, like this is not terrible. Like if I were going to be nitpicky, like super nitpicky, oftentimes you don't see a CTA or claim now button up at the top. That doesn't mean you shouldn't test it. Now, because this is going out to a re-engagement list, strategically, so here's another thing from a Patreon masterclass, the one that I have on email sequences. For re-engagement campaigns, this is basically going out to people that have not like opened anything or clicked anything. You want to, how should I say, send your best offer, your most enticing offers to the people that are about to fall off. Usually that's the 3 to 6 month part. And what you want to do is you want to delete those emails from your list because you don't want to keep sending emails to people that are not going to open them. That's going to mess up your deliverability. That's going to send you to spam. So a re-engagement campaign is really like a last-ditch effort. Like, hey, I'm going to napalm bomb you with offers. And if you don't buy or open or engage with any of them, we're deleting you from the list. So it's a Hail Mary. So 2-for-1 deals on jewelry, that's a Hail Mary. So for that reason, for that context, I really like this. Like, it's good. It's decent brand copy. Like, it gets a little mealy at times, but it's not terrible. Yeah. Blitz them. Like, hardcore blitz them for, like, a week. Like, right before they're about to fall off. The design is really nice. Yeah, like, this person put in thought to it. And I like the little sparkly emojis around that. Like, I love that. It's a good use of that. Email campaign 1. Okay. So here we're just looking at regular email. Email campaign 1. Email subject line, mix, match, and mesmerize. I love that. I love that. That's good. That is a good jewelry e-com subject line. Email preview. Discover the magic of our curated jewelry set. Love it. Or a gift. Over 3,000 5-star reviews. Love that social proof. Treasures you can't resist. Add a touch of magic to your outfits with these unique pieces that will surely become your next jewelry obsession. That's fine. Shop your perfect look. That's fine too. P.S. Get one free piece with every purchase. So if that deal is available to even people that are not on the re-engagement sequence, then that's fine. Like, that's a fine use of that. Another way to phrase that is to, like, get 50% off when you buy, get 50% off your total over when you buy two, is another way to dimensionalize a buy one get one free offer. Can we hope in the future for a masterclass about Facebook ads? Okay, two things on that. One, if you know how to write lift copy very well, you can do Facebook ads very well. The concepts and the principles and the strategies are the same. If you can write a good lift, you can write a great Facebook ad. End of story. Now, why are we never going to do a masterclass for Facebook ads or Google ads or any sort of like platform? I started a masterclass series on like campaigns I was actually running for copy that. Like, I was actually showing people like, these are the ads that I'm building. This is how I'm setting it up, et cetera, et cetera. Within weeks of starting that series, Google ads completely changed their platform and I had to relearn it. And then I had to do it again right as I was about to think about restarting that series. Facebook ads are basically the same. Like, here's the thing. There are people that, like, their whole YouTube shtick is like updating people about like how to use platforms like Facebook ads. That's not going to be us. We're going to teach the copy part. Like, that's what we're going to teach you. But the actual usage of the platforms, like how to actually set up a Facebook ad campaign, the moment that we put that out into the world, it's going to be out of date. It's going to be obsolete. Again, like, we're not trying to teach tactics. We're trying to teach principles and strategies. And so we're not going to do a masterclass about Facebook ads because, like, the best way to learn the copy for Facebook ads is to just write good email copy. And if you learn how to do that, you'll be fine. So, yeah, easy read, concise, well structured. It's just clean. Closer look at these timeless gems. Like listen, here's how you know that I like this copy and that I think it's good. I'm actually reading it. I'm actually going through it. Like, I'm actually like making progress through it. I'm not stopping. Don't just take our word for it. Good social proof. Claim your treasures now. Hold on. Quiet Lullaby. I'd love a review for these email campaigns. You wrote good copy. The copy that you wrote was good. These emails are good. You have done a good job. If I wanted to get really nitpicky, I might nitpick you over the fact that some of your sentences are pretty long. When people are reading and skimming through emails, they aren't absorbing a lot. So it's all in the details, whether it's the sterling silver finish or the captivating design of our layered necklaces. These are the pieces that promise to captivate every time. Use captivate twice there in a way that I don't think is beneficial to you. Here, the sentence is a little long. What? But like, who cares? Like honestly, like, again, that's a nitpick. Overall, these emails are great. So, and I love how you did this, like the chain going down into the differently formatted thing. That's wonderful. Like, it's great. I love how you incorporated copy with your design choices. It's good. You am do a good. Dive into our handpicked selection of beautifully mirrors the palette of falling leaves. I love it. Display the two images side by side on a nice box. Shop now. Yeah, so these are native ads, it looks like. Yeah. No, listen, whoever this is, you get the copywriting prize of the day. This is where I want to stop because all this was great. You're doing a good job. Keep doing more of this. Maybe work on like simplifying your sentences and like being a little bit more conscientious of that, of like readers that are skimming. But all in all, this was good. So, do I have a set framework when it comes to writing email sequences, such as welcome, consumption, and others? The answer to this is no. And in my email sequences masterclass, I talk about why. And the reason for that is because anybody who has a template for their email sequences is already losing for the same reason that people who overuse tactics are already losing as well. And the reason for that is because email sequences need to be dynamic, contextual, like fit to the actual thing that you're trying to accomplish with the email sequence. So I don't have a set framework. If I had to describe a framework, and in my email sequences masterclass, I like actually show like I think 5 or 6 different templates. It's been a while, but what I'm trying to do in that particular masterclass, what I'm trying to do here for you now is to get you thinking not about like, hey, email one should do this, email two should do this. No, think about what you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to persuade people and how you're trying to get people through the sequence as you go along. Typically, you want to think about it in terms of like if then sequences. If a person did not buy an email two, then what you want to do in email three is this, things like that. Yeah, this writer, they understood the brand, they didn't fill it with fluff. Great. And I didn't rub my eyes on this one. I wasn't so disappointed. If I want to stand out as an email marketer, is behavioral marketing strategist sounding good or just a fluffy way of saying I can help you segment your list? I think it's fine. It's totally fine. If you want to like if that's your if you want to stand out in like on a titular level, then behavioral marketing strategist is a great way to go, especially if all you want to do is set up automated email sequences all day. I am glad, but also no simping. No parasocial relationships allowed. Hello from Baltimore. Another B place. Guys, I think that was a good little stream. We hung out, I answered some questions, I actually like, provided some value along the way. Maybe hopefully a few people learned some things. It was wonderful. Thank you. I will make sure to review your copy soon. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate all of you. I hope you all go make that money. I hope you all learn something from this. And I hope you all just in general like grow as people and like think about the world a little bit differently as a result of watching these streams. I appreciate you. I hope you're well. Take care. I'm gonna go eat something now. I think I need a snack. I need like a Snickers bar. I have that like cranky, oh, need a Snickers.